Hi, fellow brainiacs. Welcome to our podcast.
Today, we will be talking about how to prepare for college tests.
If you're new here, well,
I'm
you probably
Allison.
are, but we're
I'm
glad you're
Casey.
here.
I'm Miracle, and we are the OG Brainiacs.
There are multiple topics that fall under the category of preparing for a college test, but we're going to focus on the most important three.
So, what are those three important topics?
Those three topics are identifying the kinds of tests students will encounter, a variety of ways to prepare for this test, and analyzing different strategies for taking these tests.
So, types of tests.
Yes, what are a couple of examples of college tests?
Well, it varies. It could be anything from pre-assessments, formative assessments, summative assessments.
Okay, that is a lot of assessments.
I know, right? But those are not the only types of tests. There are also writing tests, oral tests, and physical skill tests.
Alright, so what do some of these mean? Like, what are we gonna have to do during these tests?
Alright. So we will pick 4 tests to explain. Each of you pick 2.
What do you have to do in a formative assessment and a physical skill test?
Hey, I was gonna pick those. Anyway, I will pick summative assessment and oral test then.
Okay, so let me go in order. A formative assessment is honestly just a way to check for understanding and provides feedback to students during class. It helps identify strengths and weaknesses. In a physical skills test, you are going to be performing specific exercises or tasks designed to assess your physical abilities like strength, flexibility, stamina, and coordination.
So, it's like we're trying it out for something.
That is what it sounds like. Anyways, onto the 2 that I picked.
Whatever. Just kidding.
I don't see how that was funny.
Anyway, a summative assessment is to evaluate student learning at the end of an instructional unit by comparing it against some standard or benchmark.
Oh, so like the STAR test that schools do at the end of the year.
Yes, pretty much. Okay, the last test is an oral exam. In an oral exam, all you do is answer certain questions given to you by the examiner verbally, showing your knowledge of a subject by speaking clearly and thoughtfully to respond to each question.
Wow, thank you for explaining those.
Yes, it really helped.
Of course.
Okay, we have gone over types of tests. Now let us talk about how to prepare for these so-called tests.
You cannot study for every test the same way.
You're right, but you can prepare the same way for each test and just input study guides and notes based on the class that the test is for.
Can you tell us how to prepare for the tests? I already know, but I'm making sure you and our fellow brainiacs know.
Sure. I will still tell you all anyway. So there are 3 main ways to have an effective way to prepare for your test, and the best way to recall information that you learned a while ago. The first thing to do is review your notes that you took.
Oh, like review them all at once?
No, you don't want to read them all at once. The best thing to do when going unit by unit is to go through the notes of one unit and then take a 5-minute break. The next thing you should do is completely optional, but you should quiz yourself or have someone else quiz you, and then take a 10 to 15-minute break. This is when you move on to your next unit.
Is that what you do for all the units?
Yes, you do this for every unit. At the end, you quiz yourself on all the units combined. This is one of the best things you could do. That is why you want your notes to be easily accessible and legible.
Now, this is some valuable info. But everyone has jitters before a test, even us brainiacs. What should we do?
Okay, so that is a very good question. And honestly, the best things that you should do the night before and the morning of is gather all your materials, and then in the morning, make sure you're not forgetting anything. The next thing to do is to sleep well the night before and get a good night's rest for over 3 to 4 hours. Just make sure you give yourself a break before going to bed.
What do you mean by a break?
Honestly, a break can mean anything from reading a chapter in a book to watching an episode of your favorite show.
Wait, but Why should we take a break before going to bed?
The reason you want to take a break is because if you go to bed thinking of all the work that you just did and the information you have to remember, it will not allow your body to get the rest you need because your mind will still be going about what you just reviewed, and also going to bed right after could cause you to forget some of the stuff you just reviewed.
Okay, that is smart.
I know, right? Okay, but back to the things we should do the night before and the morning of. In the morning, you want to eat a healthy breakfast. That way you can wake up and be more energized for your test. The next thing is get to your room where you're taking your test early. It does not have to be like hours before, but like 10 to 30 minutes earlier should do it. This way you can be situated and your mind can start preparing, and you already have your stuff out and ready to ace this test. And finally, the last thing you should do is prepare your mind with positivity. Don't say things like, I'm going to bomb this test or I'm going to fail, because you're putting yourself in the mindset that you're going to fail and you're not going to really try your best.
Okay, that is so true. I remember doing that once and I did fail. And the other time, I got a surprisingly good grade.
That's good. But more importantly, are y'all ready to move on to the next topic?
Yes, of course.
So,
Ooh, what
for our
is it?
final topic for today, taking strategies.
Oh, I gotta listen in on this one.
Don't get me wrong, there are multiple test taking strategies, but there are a few that I find the most important.
How many?
6.
That is not a few.
Oh, whatever.
It's okay. Tell us your 6 favorite strategies.
Alright. So, number 1, listen to the instructions.
Instructions? From who?
Really? Already?
Um,
I'm just messing around. Anyways, when I said instructions though, I mean instructions from the teacher and those stated on the test or exam.
oh, okay.
Moving on though, second strategy you should do is a brain dump. Just dump everything that you can recall onto that paper. However, do it neatly. You might need it if you get stuck. Moving on from that, the third thing that you should do is try not to rush.
What if the test is easy and you remember everything?
That is great if it's easy and you remember everything. However, still try not to rush, or else you run the risk of making silly mistakes like misclicking or even misreading the question.
You're smart.
Thank you.
Of course. Of
Now,
course.
the fourth thing that you want to do is to answer the questions that you do know and not spend so much time on the questions that you do not know. The fifth thing actually goes hand in hand with the fourth thing, as the fifth thing is to go back to those questions that you do not understand. This allows you to answer the easy questions that you do know first and have time to work on the questions that you do not know. Now, the sixth and final most important test taking strategy is to check your answers. Like I said before, you can make very simple mistakes that could lead to you getting an accidentally wrong answer, which could affect your test grade. So, that is why it is important to check your answers thoroughly.
This is valuable information, and I hope our fellow brainiacs caught and understood that. But if they didn't, it's okay. They can just ask questions in the comments. For listening to our first podcast. Hopefully, we bring you all more podcasts. Please like and subscribe.
Those who like and subscribe will be a part of the brainiacs, which are some of the smartest people on the internet, by the way. Just so you know.
Bye, guys.
Bye, brainiacs, and thanks again for listening in.